Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Sayyida Heba Bukhari. Welcome back to my channel The Mat Corner, and today we are going to be discussing about the osteology of the scapular bone. So let's begin. The scapular bone is often called as the shoulder blade, which is a thin bone placed on the posterior lateral aspect of the thoracic cage. As you guys can see that it is located on the posterior side, that is the back side, and the lateral aspect, which means that is away from the midline of the body. Now if we talk about the features of the scapular bone, so it has the two surfaces, the costal surface and the dorsal surface. It has three borders, the superior border, the lateral border and the medial border. It has three angles, the superior angle, the inferior angle and the lateral or the glenoid angle. Then it has the three processes, which are the spinous process, the acromion process and the coracoid process. So we are going to be discussing each of them one by one. It would be easy for you guys to understand the osteology of a bone if you have a bone in your hand, so you guys can see and feel the landmarks which I am talking about in a more meaningful way and a memorable way. If we take a look from the lateral side on the scapula, you guys can see that there is a concave surface and a convex surface. So the concave surface is called as a costal surface or the anterior surface, while the convex surface is called as the dorsal surface or the posterior surface, which is facing toward the back side of the body. If we take a close look on the costal surface or the anterior surface of the scapula, you guys can see that there is a fossa in it, which is termed as the subscapular fossa on behalf of the subscapularis muscle, which originate from this region. Costal surface also have the three longitudinal ridges in it. Now if we take a look over the dorsal surface of the scapula, as you guys can see that this prominent structure over here is called as the spine of the scapula, which is dividing the dorsal surface into the superior and the inferior halves. As you guys can see that the superior half is smaller in size as compared to the inferior half, which is large in size. So these superior and the inferior half bear a fossa in it, which is called as the supraspinous fossa and the infraspinous fossa respectively. It is termed because of the spinous process. The spinous process, the superior half is above the spinous process, so it is called the supraspinous process, and the inferior half is below the spinous process, so it is called as the infraspinous fossa. As you guys can see that the scapula is a triangular in shape, so it bears the three border in it, which are termed as the superior border, the lateral border and the medial border. So this is called as the superior border of the scapula, which is thin and short, and it is near the root of the coracoid process. This is the coracoid process over here, and the superior border is near the root of the coracoid process, and it also bears a suprascapular notch over here, which provide a passage for the nerve and artery. The medial border is again thin as the superior border, but it extends from the superior angle to the inferior angle of the scapula. Now the third one is the lateral border of a scapula, which is the thickest among the all. As you guys can see that there is a facet in it, which is called a glenoid cavity for the articulation with the head of humerus, and above it have the supraglenoid tubercle, and below it have the infraglenoid tubercle, which has its own importance for the attachment of muscle, which we will discussing further in the video. Now let's discuss about the angle of the scapula. As I told you that it bears the three angle, the superior angle, the inferior angle and the lateral angle. So this is the superior angle, this is the inferior angle, and this is the lateral angle. So the lateral angle is also termed as a glenoid angle because of the presence of the glenoid cavity over here. Now let's talk about the last feature of a scapula, which are the process of a scapula. So as I told you that there are three processes of a scapula: the spinous process, the acromion and the coracoid one. So the spinous process is located on the dorsal surface. As I told you that this is the spinous process, the prominent one over here, which is a triangular, if you triangular plate like a structure. If you look a superior view over it, you find that it is a triangular plate like a structure, and this is called as a spine of a scapula. As it is a triangular plate, so it bears the three border and the two surfaces. It divides the dorsal surface of the scapula into the supraspinous and the infraspinous fossa. As I told you, its posterior border is called as the crest of a spine. The crest has the upper and the lower lip. for the attachment of the different muscles. Now the continuation of the spinous process form the acromion process, which is located on the lateral aspect of the scapular bone. The acromion process has the two border, the medial border and the lateral border, two surfaces, the superior and the inferior, and a facet for the articulation with the clavicle bone. So it is important to remember that the clavicle articulate with the acromion process but not with the coracoid process. Now the last process is the coracoid process, which is located superiorly on the costal surface of the scapula, the anterior surface. It is a beak-like process which is directed forward and slightly laterally. So this is all about the features of the scapula. In the next video we will be discussing about the side determination and the attachment of the scapula. So that's all for today. See you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye. Allah Hafiz.